Hi there, and welcome to the critique on the Social Good Project. Thank you for those of you that submitted the work on time and have just been waiting and waiting and waiting. I got my last file today so that I can actually submit this video to you all before the course officially ends. I will be doing the same thing for the museum project, but I will email you directly through your Liberty emails, because I know by the time I get everybody's files, they will have taken away your access to the physical course shell. That's my best guess. So, expect to see another video from me going. I just like to show you guys all the work. One, it's good for all my, I want to call you top dogs, because, the work's quality, top notch, great typography. But then for the students that really need to push their game a little bit more, you can see, where you need to be stepping it up and such. Just like a regular classroom. It's a great thing to learn from. All right, so I'm going to start with the two links that I have. The easiest thing for me has always been if you just submit a PDF with everything in it. But I have multiple files for everyone, so I will be showing what I have. So we're going to go ahead and start with this one.
Hi, this is Leah Weber, and this is my final deliverables assignment for the Social Good Project.
What I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be showing like what the purpose was, and then just fast forwarding to the end so you can see the final stuff.
For this project, I really wanted to touch on a smaller issue within the pro-life community, which I am part of. I am pro-life, but I've noticed this blind spot in the pro-life community when we talk about being pro-life. Usually it kind of ends at, make sure a baby is saved from abortion. But then what happens, right? They're put in, if they're not kept with the mother and or the father after the baby's born, they're usually put in like the adoption, an adoption care or foster care, and kind of lose track of what happens to them there. And there are hundreds of thousands of children in these areas, and I've just been convicted that we need to talk more about this and spread more awareness. So basically my goal is to educate people in different ways they can support kids in these programs, and hypothetically this site would lead to just information that people could do anywhere from adopting, fostering, to just volunteering, supporting, donating, that kind of stuff. So my demographic would be young adults.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get to the artwork. The design solutions is what we're mostly going to be doing and getting feedback on. We're going to skip through that stage. Okay, so you can see here
the type. And with that, I could start designing more officially. So here's my editorial spread. I really like how it turned out. I used a soft or a deep blue color, which I think is pretty universal. And then I have that number there, and then it says children. These children are waiting to find a home. And I included an image I found from a foster care website that I included of just empty bunk beds, just to kind of show this is where they're living now, but they're looking for a real home. That's the goal. So I didn't want it to be kind of too graphic or anything like that. Just in terms of both the images that I use and the kind of content I put in there, because I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad or guilty or shame, but I do just want to raise awareness. So that's kind of why I went with this. And yeah, again, I really like how.
All right, let's get to the design, more design stuff. Social media ad, outdoor ad. I believe that's the main stuff that she's doing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and come back here and just give some feedback on it. I think overall it's very professional. I loved the application. Very clean typefaces, great mock-ups. Again, clients will not always get what a billboard ad is, what an editorial spread is. They don't always know those terms. So the mock-ups are very important when you're posting them on your websites and stuff like that. I think the monotone look with the blue is great. What you might want to do is maybe make for me, if you make this bar thinner and then do the blue overlay over the beds, it'll bring out the bed more. And then if you have an inverse version of the logo where maybe it's in white, that could be done there. The clean look is definitely working for me. I love the alternate small logo. The social media ad for me is one of the strongest ones here. It just looks great on the inverse, and it looks great when you're scrolling. Think about the application too. If you're scrolling, mostly you're seeing, on Instagram, food and cat videos and whatever. So when you hit something that's like a promo ad like this and the numbers there, you really connect both of those. So I think you did a really good job on that. And again, the monochromatic look looks really nice. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to go to this next one. I don't think this one had a voiceover, so let me just go back and I'll just do it for them. It doesn't let me go back. That's not great. Oh, okay. Light pollution. Oh, that's gonna suck that I can't do that. We're gonna have to wing it on this one. Sucks too because the creative's pretty good, but it's like super speed. My guess is you probably had some problems with the timing. So let's just go ahead and see if I could take a step back. Oh, I could just do it singly. That's perfect. Okay. I loved your typography. I thought the logo was awesome. I love the wings in the dark. Maybe not using the hot green on everything. Especially because here you could see this is where you would want to use your logo, but I didn't actually see it in the collateral. The typography is great though, like having the more creative, like what if she never came home? You're really connecting like hello, the images with the bird itself. So I think the mock-up looks great here, but again, you'd want to put your logo here, probably inverse and maybe the white. Again, the typography is really nice. The way that you connected that, the our light is killing them. Mock-up's great again. Yeah, see this one, it's hard to view here, but again, in the mobile application, you would be able to see that typography just fine. So again, you're going to want to have the logo integrated with your collateral too. This one's kind of like the most different as far as aesthetically. It looks very different from the rest of the campaign. So I would possibly work in, I don't think you have to have the same exact typography, but maybe have kind of like the puzzle effect here with a thinner font and do like wings in the dark. Like a similar style maybe with the blue and maybe with like a really nice kind of like a powerful image like what you did for the rest of the collateral. So that's what I would do there. Let's go ahead and go back. So I did these two. We're going to go ahead and go through the rest of them. I'm probably going to stop about halfway just to kind of like split the videos. All right, so I'm going to show the PDFs for the rest of these because it's just going to be easier on me. So Elena. Here. Okay, so the concept here, what if it was your home? So keeping the oceans clean with the kind of like jellyfish like creature. So let's go ahead and start off with the logo. I think the circle is working. Maybe make some elements thinner, like I would go for a thinner line here so you're not taking away as much from the jellyfish, and maybe make the jellyfish legs more like calligraphic, so like thinning them out a little bit. I'm not sure that the copperplate font is working for the rest of the type, especially to like do this kind of like bubble effect going around the outside where you're like pinching it to match the circle. Like it gets really kind of muddy there. Let's see. I think for something like this, you would definitely want to have the bags and the jellyfish be real images. When you're thinking about educating the public on things like, hey, clean up your trash, it's beneficial to use things that are going to aesthetically be remembered. And I think if you had a jellyfish whited out and then a plastic bag whited out, and they're so similar that you almost you catch it, like you're walking by it and you're like, oh crap, that's a bag, that's not a jellyfish. That's when the people are going to have that moment of remembrance of clean up after yourselves versus like you're not going to connect as much with an illustration like that. Yeah, just overall, that's what I would say, because I remember looking at this piece. Illustrations can be great for like adding something to the design, but if you really want to have an impact with something like social, like any kind of social good, like anything, sticking with real images is the way to go. Definitely keep pushing your typography skills. Go to Brands of the World, Ads of the World, look at what's trending. Really want to bump up those typography skills to have more of a current look. It's giving entitlement, keeping is a vibe. Yeah, for me, like this one, it's like it's giving entitlement is so far away from everything else that you're not connecting, reading it together. So that's what I would definitely do there. Okay, let's do one more, and then we will push pause and go to the next video. I loved this one. So this is Alexis. She came up with something called the Flock, which I believe off the top of my head was a social app for a church with community events, sermons, prayer, and directory. So church app for connecting internally, I believe, and externally, but you would have to see it to download it. I thought your visuals were great. I love the greens, very different from church marketing. Maybe just giving yourself a little bit more negative space in general. So for example, like giving like some space between the logo and the headline. Like I love the funky type. Just taking maybe this down like 50%, 25%, just giving some negative space there. Still keeping your text all on that nice line because you have a really nice grid system. But I would say the same for even the mobile app idea. Just needs some negative space to really work. But this was one of my favorite ones. I just think the sheep as the O worked really well, and the F was a staff. It looked great. Billboards are tough. I mean, I did a cross-country drive this past 2 weeks to Michigan from Florida, and it was definitely like seeing a lot of billboards. I've got a lot of experience lately with them. You want to make sure that you're not giving so much text that it's overwhelming. So I think just having the church app and maybe supplementing, maybe just connect and support, or connect together, and just having the app on there so people know it's an app might be enough with like the ghosted background image. So that way there's just not so much to read. Or even if you just do churchflock.com with church app, something like that. Other than that, I think all of your collateral here was really good. So fantastic job.